Okay, so we got to that part. There's a huge debate going on right now, Chad, as far as the physiques of the 90s and the early 2000s compared to the physiques of today. So
Right.
I'm going to ask you just the one basic general question, and then from there we're going to go into details. What's wrong with bodybuilding today?
I don't necessarily know there's anything wrong with it, but the sport as a whole is just not as hardworking, and I don't want to really say that about everybody, but because there are some really hard workers out there, and I will say, like knock on wood, like if you look at everybody right now, I mean, there's some possibilities of some really amazing athletes coming out of this 2020 year. I see some amazing guys out there that are putting in work, that are really like pushing the envelope to that next level. But if you look at the guys, and realistically, there's a couple possibilities. I mean, you obviously can't deny the internet and social media and those types of things take up so much time that it's just driving. And I don't care what anybody says. Like, if they're not, paying attention to that, I don't believe that for a minute. I don't believe it for a minute because they spend so much time trying to impress people on social media.
Correct.
And so I don't believe for a second that it's not affecting them in some way. Mm-hmm. You can have 1,000 great comments, and all it takes is 3 negative ones, and you're fucked up in the head. And I've seen this over and over again. And I mean, like, some people don't care. Like, I don't give a shit what anybody says about me. Like, I've been through it all. But some people, it just takes one tiny thing, and the next thing you know, they're all fucked up for a week, right? Mm-hmm. And they're not training hard, and they're doing this, and they're second guessing themselves, right, and over nonsense, like right, just crazy nonsense. We didn't have to put up with that shit. Nope. Like, we didn't have any of that crap back in the day. Hell, we had to wait 3 months just to get contest coverage in a magazine. Right. So those things were all positives, I think, back in the day. Those were all. The other issue is, look, at the end of the day, it took a lot of these guys 5, 6, 10 years to turn pro. By the time they got a pro card, they were pro ready. Like, there was no in-between stage, right?
So important what he's saying right now. Keep going,
these guys battled, and you can look at, across the board, these guys made it, and you knew when they got a pro card, they were 100% ready to step on a pro stage.
You already
and I don't care at what level, what year that is, it was across the board. Right. Everyone was like that.
Right.
Right. We don't have any of those guys now.
No.
There's nobody ready to step on I mean, there's a couple guys right now that are probably ready to step on a pro stage, but for the last 10 years, most of them haven't been that way.
When I turned professional in 1999, the first thing you told me was, you need 2 years to put on muscle. You're not ready. Your conditioning is there. I remember this like it was yesterday. I even remember your voice. You said, your conditioning is there, but you need to put on some muscle. We need 2 years. And that's when I said to you, you know what? I'm probably one of the only guys that can do this without having to worry, because I can stay at home. I'm Persian. I can stay in my parents' house. They're going to take care of me. And you said to me, I'm going to make a phone call, and we're going to take care of something for you. And, of course, what happened? I got a phone call from Lynn Concrete, and I got my Weider contract. And it's for me back then. Right now, Chad, they don't understand what the f that means and what a Weider contract is. But back then, it was basically winning the lottery and handing you opening a door for you, saying, here you go, kid. It's all up to you now. We're going to take care of the monetary part. You go do what you have to do. And it was like a 1,000-pound monkey off my shoulders.
Well, it was literally like, hey, you are now a pro bodybuilder.
Yes.
Like, that's what it meant. Like, you got a Weider contract now. You are a pro athlete. You are a pro bodybuilder. You can do what you need to do to be better. You get to that next level. And those things are gone now. Like, those contracts and those things are gone, unfortunately. I mean, there's a few guys out there that are making money, but, there's guys, they're probably making more money on social media, on Instagram, and YouTube right now than they are contracts.
Oh, come on, man. Chad, you're too nice. And I'm glad that we got good guy, bad cop, good cop going on here. I'll say the truth if you're going to be the bigger person. What contracts? What contracts? There are no more contracts. The first question they ask you is, how many followers do you have on Instagram? Yep. And then if you have 1 million followers, if you got a nice pretty face and some tits, boom, there's your contract right there. When this kid who's been killing himself, who won the heavyweight at the Nationals last year, is still doing construction.
And, unfortunately, the problem is a lot of the athletes killed themselves on that through social media.
Right.
They didn't realize what they were doing. It started, the women did that, from the get-go, and then the guys started doing that, when, men's physique came around, and then, the classic too, they just done everything for free, and they just sold their soul.
Right.
But they sold it because they realized that they thought they could do all of this other stuff for free, and then it was going to, generate monetary value through their social media platform. And unfortunately, that's true to an extent, but it's if you look at the big numbers and the people that are making money, and there are a couple bodybuilders, I don't know of a lot of big name bodybuilders that are making big money right now, but most of them are just social media people. Some of them are decent athletes, but they're more like social media people, not really pro bodybuilding.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and then I think the two smart ones that I would say right now, actually it only comes down to one right now, but I'll give both of them some credit, was Blackstone and Redcon One. And I think they're the ones who said, wait a second, they looked at the entire industry, they took advantage of the social media, but they started to hire the top athletes again.
Dude, I'll tell you what, I said that from the get-go. I said, listen, I don't care what anybody, I like Aaron, so I know some people like him, some people don't, but I'm going to tell you right now, he supports this friggin' industry.
Yes, he does.
He's got athletes under contract. He is a genuinely pretty straightforward guy, which I like. You got to give him credit. And the things that he's been able to do, like I watched him, when he was with Palumbo, and everybody was like, he's done. He's done. He's never getting a job in this industry. And I'm like, okay, that seems kind of harsh.
Right.
And then the next thing you knew, he had Blackstone. And then, he kind of pushed that off and went to Redcon. And, the things that he's done has been amazing. And obviously when you're looking at, running a business and stuff, but the fact that he realized that his, base is hardcore athletes.
Right.
Because I'm going to tell you right now, he's got athletes signed than anybody in this industry right now.
Yeah, I mean, what he did is, in my mind, and I don't know Aaron, I know one of my closest friends down in Florida is actually good friends with him, and he tells me good stuff about Aaron. But what he did is he took the power of social media and brought the hardcore with it. And when he made that comment, it's because everybody was like, social media, forget that. Forget the hardcore. Nobody wants the hardcore. Well, he goes, no. And he brought that back because no matter what anybody says, and I've said this before, and I think Dexter had made a good point. He said, if you take out men's open bodybuilding, it's going to affect the entire sport because that's still the peak of the mountain. That's what people come to see.
At the end of the day, everything is based around bodybuilding. Right. So I don't care what, look, without, men's bodybuilding, without women's bodybuilding, you don't have anything. Without women's bodybuilding, you don't have figure, you don't have, physique, you don't have bikini, because all of them are basically a form of women's bodybuilding. They may not be to the extreme of the women, but they're still building the body, and and men are the same way. And you look at the crowds and you look at everything. At the end of the day, they're all there to see the men. Right. I don't care what the deal is. Listen, that crowd is there. They want to see those guys. They want to see those freaks. They want to see something that when they look up there, they are amazed, and they're that's just, they want to see a physique that's unattainable.
Correct.
They want to see somebody that they're blown away by.
Exactly. Okay, so going back to the original thing that I said. So Ronnie and Dorian are ripping people to pieces right now, ripping the new breed to pieces. What do you think about that? Because I've heard what Victor had to say, and he was like, nah, Ronnie shouldn't be saying that. Dorian should. It was a different time, different era. I've myself sat back, and I know where I stand. And I want to hear where you stand on that whole controversy of what comparing the 90s, early 2000s to the now. Is it, Chad, is it all about conditioning? Is that what it comes down to?
It is. I mean, when you look, I think where they're looking at that, they're looking at it a couple things. So, look, back then, I mean, like I said, those guys, they had to fight. They had to battle for years to even get a pro card. And when they got to the pro level, they were already, pro ready, and they were ready to battle. And the guys that got there during that time frame, I mean, hell, Dexter's still there. But, I mean, when they got there, they stayed there. Those guys stayed at the top for 10 years, okay? And there's not another sport around that really you do that. I mean, there's a few top guys, but it just comes and goes.
Right.
And that group, when you were part of that group, like that group stayed very competitive across the board. And now I think what's happening is, and they had to battle to get there. They had to work hard. They had to suffer. They had to, they had to really put in a lot of work to get there.
Underline the word suffer about 6 times.
Exactly. I mean, trust me, that's one of the keys right there. That word should be underlined and printed and put on every refrigerator right now, because that's the problem right now. The kids that are there now, listen, I'm not saying they're not great athletes. I'm saying they're not full potential. They're not at that level. Could they be spectacular? 100%, because we've seen some guys go there. And we're starting to see more. We're starting to see like some guys move up and really kind of push the envelope again. But I think if you look, and I think this is kind of even where Ronnie was kind of hinting at, he even, he was talking about Arnold and saying like, well, if Arnold had the knowledge that we had, Arnold would be spectacular. And I mean, Ronnie is a very smart person. He's looking at the knowledge that they have right now. I mean, he owns a supplement company. He knows where, the science is behind bodybuilding, where it was then. And it's beyond, it's progressed. I mean, it just takes a step forward every single year. So the athletes that are here right now are in the best case scenario they could possibly be in, and yet at show after show after show, we're seeing less and less conditioning, less and less conditioning. Is it based off of what they have access to? No, it's based off of the fact that they got there too fast and they don't understand what it takes to get to that next level, to get over that last little bit, and you see it in their training, and you see it on the dieting, and you see when they start doing everything, they're looking for, an easier way, an easier way, an easier way. And look, at the end of the day, there is no easy way. There literally is no easy way. You either have to, if you're, just, smile and laughter and hanging out with the family and doing all these great things, I'm going to tell you, it's great, awesome, but I can tell you right now, you're not going to be 100%.
This is, again, it goes back to the stories of, you got to go back and look at the history. When Lee Haney would move out of his house and move into a small apartment the last, 6 to 7 or 8 weeks before a competition, or what Dexter's doing now, going all the way to Venice and staying in an apartment by himself. That's Absolutely. The way. You have to be literally a hermit or a monk or a Jedi or whatever the hell you want to call it. You got to be that focused and concentrated.
You got to find what works for you. Like, everybody is different,
right.
And I mean, you've got to figure out what your distractions are, what is holding you back. Some people function at a very high level around family.
Who's the exception to the rule? Chris Cormier needs drama in his life. He has to have some type of shit happening in his life to be at his absolute best.
I can tell you right now, if there's nothing happening in Chris's life, he literally will just sit around and eat, cereal. That's all.
He's the only person I ever met that you have to have horrible things happening and your life must be a wreck, and he's going to win. You go, oh man, Chris is going to win. If his personal life is messed up, he's going to win the show. Yeah, Chris.
The chaos factor for Chris was golden. If there was shit happening 4 million, just all over the place, you knew Chris was like this.
We absolutely
love
you.
Good.
Okay.
Chris is good.
Questions. I'm gonna try to get a little more controversial now. Chad, who's the best bodybuilder in the world right now?
Right now?
Who's the best bodybuilder in the world? Not who's Mr. Olympia. I think you know where I'm going with this question. Who's the best bodybuilder in the world right now?
Potential? If everybody showed up in the best case scenario?
Yes.
Big Ramy.
Big Ramy. Wow.
Big Ramy, hands down.
Look at that. I'm shocked. I'm shocked right there. I thought 100% you would say Phil Heath.
It's a close battle. There's no doubt. It's a close battle. Here's the thing. Phil is phenomenal. Don't get me wrong. Phil is phenomenal. But Phil's toward the end of his career where Ramy hasn't really landed in there yet. And so, we're talking perfect case scenario, right? We're talking perfect case scenario. I mean, both at 100%, that's a hell of a battle, probably. That's a hell of a battle. Phil is tough at 100%. We haven't seen Ramy at 100%. So those two, I think those two are at a different level, though, for sure.
Yeah, that will be an incredible battle. Okay, I'm going to give you 4 things. You put them in order of most important to least important.
Okay.
Drugs, food, training, supplements. Drugs, food, training, supplements. Most important to least important.
Food is the most important. That's a guarantee.
Number one, I agree.
Okay, food, drugs,
training, supplements.
Training, supplements. Okay, so food, training, drugs, supplements.
Good. Okay. Now, what do most of the kids think is the most important factor? Immediately.
Oh, without a doubt, drugs.
Drugs.
Training.
Immediately.
Drugs,
Without
training,
even thinking about it. Drugs.
Yeah, without a doubt. 100%.
And I remember, and Chad, would you please elaborate? No, you don't need to go into too deep a detail. But if I put on this table all pharmaceutical grade, human grade, greatest in the world, and have a guy with subpar genetics, will he become a professional bodybuilder?
No.
No. See, this is again. I go through this so many times.
Here's the thing. I mean, there is the exception to the rule of that, and obviously it's there's 50 different scenarios that could play into that. But at the end of the day, I don't care what it is. Like, genetics are going to play a role. Hard work, like, for the most part, I'll take somebody with a little bit less genetics and hard work all day.
Mm-hmm.
Versus somebody with great genetics and that lack that hard work. But again, they have to be somewhere balanced out. Hard work is always going to win. It's always going to win. But at the end of the day, I don't care. Is drugs involved? Of course, drugs is involved. But is it is it the one part that is controlling everybody's destiny? No chance.